बेकिंग पाउडर नहीं है वो,
desiccated coconut,
डेसिकेटेड कोकोनट नहीं है वो, फ्रेश कोकोनट।
fresh coconut, and this is rice rava.
Hi, this is Mugdha.
I am Avinash.
And we usually record our Embracing the Human Experience podcast together, but this time we thought we'll do a Christmas edit and we'll cook a recipe together. Now, for those of you watching, we never cook together, okay? So if he's making something, he does it on his own.
Yes.
If I'm making something, I do it on my own.
I am highly territorial about my kitchen.
He's
okay?
extremely territorial. Like the only way to glitch Avinash is to go interfere with him when he's cooking.
It's
So
like
this
a
is going to
glitch.
be a lot of fun. We've not rehearsed.
Yes.
I'm cool cooking with other people. He is not. So we're going to have some fun while doing this. All right. What are we making, Avinash?
Yes, I was told we are making something, and you're going to give me the ingredients. So whatever is being made is made by Mugdha. I am just following the instruction. So I am here. I'm supposed to make something together, and normally use hand. They are not letting me use my hand. Okay. So I'll try doing this with this, and I'm sure I'll do a better job of this.
Okay, so-
let's go ahead.
All right, this is really going to be fun. But what we are baking today is Christmas cookies. And these cookies are different because there's no wheat, there's no gluten in it. We're not using any sugar at all. So they are gluten-free, sugar-free, no seed oils at all, right? Like no sunflower oil, none of that. They're actually pretty
No
thrive.
preservatives, additives also, right?
No preservative additives. So they're super iThrive compliant. They do have traces of dairy because we're using this thing called khoa. In Marathi, it's called khoa, which is basically clotted milk. So there is dairy in this, but you could leave that out and make it a dairy-free version too. It's a very, very quick recipe. It's very easy. You could make it with your kids. It's fun. And because we're using something called as semolina, okay, so that's idli rava. Usually semolina is made with wheat. We are using rice rava. So this rava is made out of rice. It's also sold as idli rava in the stores. So ready to get started, Avinash?
Yeah, you just mentioned that you can make it with the kids. I think she just wanted to make an example of me. Okay, I am supposed to play that part of a kid. So yeah, I am here ready,
Yes.
Mugdha. Yes. go
Okay,
ahead,
so
let's
our
do it.
first
Yes.
ingredient is idli rava. Easily available across stores.
So there is a confusion regarding this, right? Idli rava is mix of different things. If you ask for idli rava,
No,
so ask for rice rava.
you can ask for rice rava, you can also ask for idli rava, but if you say rava idli, you get that MTR rava idli ready mix, okay? So don't buy that. Okay, so that's our first ingredient. The second ingredient that gives a really unique flavor to these cookies is fresh coconut. I use fresh coconut. You could also use desiccated coconut, dehydrated coconut, that's totally up to you.
No, my second favorite.
So that's the rice rava and the desiccated coconut. If you see the proportion, it's 50% of the amount of rava I used. Okay, the next ingredient I have. So this is where we are making it sugar free. What I'm using is a powder of dried dates. In Maharashtra, it's called as kharik powder. You will get it online as dried dates powder. So it's not super sweet, unlike sugar or unlike honey, it's not super sweet. But it does add a hint of sweetness and it again adds texture. Why we didn't use date puree for this is because date puree then starts making things very chewy and fudgy. So date
makes
puree,
it stickier.
it makes it sticky. So for brownies, for example, date puree is a great option.
Even
since-
for cake, it is good.
Cake is great, but cake becomes really dense with it, right? So
Yeah.
brownies ke liye date syrup is good. I mean date puree. For cookies, we're using dry date powder. Go for it, Avinash.
Yes, this is a trick I learned recently. This dry date powder comes little thicker. If you can churn it in the mixer, it becomes really fine. And if you're making something to mix it properly within your recipe, so that is a good option to try.
Do you think we should add more of this dry date powder, or will
No,
it
it
be
should be
sweet?
okay. They will be too sweet.
Are you sure?
Yeah, this sweetness is good enough for
Sure?
dry cookies. Yes.
We don't want it to be sweeter.
No.
Okay.
This is fine.
All right. Next ingredient. This is what is going to add a lot of richness to the cookies. In Marathi, Hindi, it's called as khoya. You'll get it at a local dairy. I bought it from the dairy I usually buy milk and ghee from. So it's basically milk that is cooked for a really long time and evaporated so that all that remains are milk solids. Okay, next we're going to add some ghee. Again, fat on your palate really gives you a very luxurious experience, right? Texturally, it really has a great mouthfeel. This recipe already has coconut, already also has the khawa in it, the khoya, which also has fat, but I'm just adding this extra hint of ghee.
My mother makes the best ghee now.
All right, you can continue to mix that.
Yes.
And then to bring it all together, right? Like right now it still looks very much like a dry mix. To bring it all together, I am going to be adding 1 egg into it. Now, if you're someone who is allergic to eggs or you want to avoid eggs, you could also use coconut milk as the liquid. But the good thing about eggs is like when it bakes, like when you bake things with eggs in it, again, the binding and all of that really happens well. It adds to the texture as well, going into this dry mix.
It's actually smelling good without even cooking.
So we are not making batter, okay? We are making cookie dough, so it's going to be a little stiff and thick. The last 2 ingredients I have is, of course, my favoriteest ingredient when it comes to baking. Anything I bake has to have vanilla in it. I use Prig vanilla extract. Okay, so I'm adding vanilla to this. I really, really love this vanilla. It's really up to you how much vanilla you want to add in your recipe.
Right? It's smelling good, no?
Smells so good.
Yeah, I am a very good mixer. Because of that, it's smelling good.
Yes, Avinash, all because of you. And the last thing that I'm going to add to this is some baking powder.
Yes.
Just a little, not too much. If there's too much baking powder, it starts tasting like soap. But this baking powder will give it a little bit of fluffiness and lightness that's important. So maybe like 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, just about that much. Okay, that's me being really generous with the vanilla.
Enough!
No!
It's too much. You're not supposed to do that.
No, I'm not putting my hands.
I am playing the role of a kid, right?
Okay, so because it's really dry and crumbly, I'm going to add a little water to kind of bring it all together. A little water to just bind it. So we're going to be using a baking tray. This cookie dough is not the one that you kind of can do cookie shapes with. It's more of a drop based dough. What I'll do is I'll put a parchment paper here in the baking tray so that our cookies come out clean. In addition, I'll just add a little ghee as one layer on the parchment paper so that the cookies don't stick to it. So this is once I learned this technique called thumbprint cookies. So just equal sized balls, and then you take that, place it here. So if CBI was doing investigations, they'd get my thumbprints on these cookies.
Take this.
They're not laddus, we're making cookies.
Huh.
What is this? This looks like a rava besan laddu. This size.
Okay. You bring kids to the show and then expect them to behave like an adult. Like, what is this? And our director is laughing here. You can make out what is made by Avinash and what is made by Mugdha.
Right.
Last one will be mine. So, it's mine.
I'm just adding some here. That's why we don't cook food together. Even if we are staying together, he finishes cooking and then I go into the kitchen.
Yes, this is what I love about cooking. Your hand should be like full of food so that you can, not off camera, you can do something. But I'm sure whosoever is cooking at home, they know what I'm talking about. The best part of cooking is you can taste food as it is getting cooked in different stages. When you're making the dough, when you're adding ingredients, when it is semi-cooked, keep tasting it, right, at different stage.
All right, so these go for baking. 180 to 190 degrees, 20 minutes should do the job. So we're going to do that now, okay? And you would need a convection oven. These won't really go well and never use, don't even use microwaves. There's so much EMF, they destroy your food. Either use the gas for cooking, or if you're going to bake, just use a convection oven. All right, so the oven went ping and the oven's off. Here are our cookies. They've been baked to absolute perfection. The semolina is going to make them really crunchy. I'm so excited about tasting these cookies. So the cookies are ready. Santa has disappeared because he had an interview to take. But because he's not here, our cookies are actually available for a picture and for decor. Otherwise, they'd be over by now. They're really, really delicious. Super crunchy and very, very beautifully textured, like really rich on your palate. I would personally prefer them to be a little sweeter. If you remember, I was insisting that we add a little more dried date powder there. But we now actually have managed to do a full setup for a cooking studio. So we'll be doing a lot more recipe videos. Do follow, share and subscribe to this channel. And wish you a very, very, very Merry Christmas and a super Happy New Year. May your 2023 be blessed with light and love and healing and amazing, amazing things through your life.